Now listen, lately I have been getting around to doing all of the Easter eggs on the non-Treyarch Call of Duty zombie titles. This is because I want to truly experience, were these games good, bad, mediocre? Did they deserve the hate they got, or do they deserve more love? And just in case you don't know, non-Treyarch zombie titles are as followed: Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, and World War II Zombies. And so far, I have completed all of the Infinite Warfare Easter eggs, so if you are interested in that video, go ahead and click the annotation at the top right of the screen. And obviously, this video in particular is about the Advanced Warfare Easter eggs. And I want to make this very clear. I tried going into this game with as much positivity as possible because I don't like having others form my own opinion for me, and that was the case for a while. I always had thought the non-Treyarch games were not that good, but Infinite Warfare proved me completely wrong on that. But this game, well, to put it simply, lowered my expectations even more. So if you are someone that really does not like this game, I can understand. But if you just kind of jump on others' opinions, you really should try and experience this game for yourself first before saying that it's just shit. But if there is someone watching that likes this game and its Easter eggs, I ask but one question: why do you like this game? But before answering that, let's take a journey through me completing every single Easter egg on Advanced Warfare. So spawning into Outbreak, which is the first map on this game, I can assume most watching have heard of the map, know of it, which I can understand after completing all of the maps on this game, but I can't understand how some people will say that this is the best map on the game, or second best, just because all it has going for it is a good layout. Other than that, it's not good. I understand that it's not meant to be amazing because it's the first map, but coming off of Black Ops 2, it's a big disappointment. Moving on to the actual Easter egg, we skipped to around 7, and we started getting confused why the Easter egg was not progressing. We couldn't go any further, and that is because there was a black box I grabbed in spawn. If you didn't realize, it's okay because it's the bottom left of the screen. I had to insert it into a terminal, and that enables us to move on to the second step, which involves us getting 4 different key cards that go to each one of the 4 playable characters in this game. Now, there's no specific order you have to do these in, so we just went with the flow. And I realized I did not mention I was playing with a friend in this map, but sadly, this is the only map he helps me in, because the game got a little bit too difficult. Sorry, Michael. Still love you. And the first key card we go for is Oz's, and this one is very stupid. So in the room near Juggernog, which I didn't even show that yet, but in this room there's 2 large containers. The first one has a lever under it that we have to shoot. Now you have to put a lot of ammo into this thing. So after wasting about half of my ammo in my weapon, it finally disappeared, and now both of us have to stand on the second container. We both have to jump in the air and exo slam onto the first one. That will basically shoot it downwards, and then another container will rise up, and then that second one will have a key card in it that I can now grab. Skipping to round 10, we now can move on to the second key card. Now, what happens on this round is we get what is called an infected round. We then get chased by infected zombies, and you can guess that they infect us. While we are infected, we have to interact with 4 different panels. I interact with 2, my friend interacts with 2, because divide and conquer, you know, that's you gotta do that when you're playing with 2 people, you know. Now, after doing that, I kind of had a brain dead moment, because the key card was available to us, but I didn't realize my friend had to grab it and not me. So skipping to the next round, he was able to pick it up, and now we can move on to the third key card. So the third key card is also very, very stupid, similar to the first one. So around the map, there is 2 different trash chutes we each have to interact with simultaneously. Once we go inside of the trash chutes, we'll be brought into an incinerator room, and while in here, we have to shoot the shit out of the ground. Now, while shooting it, we have to interact with the ground at the same time. And eventually, I was able to get the third key card, and this is just a stupid step. I don't know why Sledgehammer thought this was a good idea, but, you know, we ball. We got it done. That's it. Now, skipping to the next round, we now had to rely on RNG because we needed to get the EM1 out of the 3D printer, which is an energy weapon. And luckily, I actually got it on that exact same round at the very end. And once I get the EM1, I have to hit the 3D printer one more time and shoot it, and that will reveal the last key card that I can pick up. And now we are finally done with that step of the Easter egg. And now zooming into the bottom left, you will realize there is a number. For me, it says it's 3, and for my friend, it says it's 1. And this is the worst step of the Easter egg thus far. So we each have to get our numbers to level 49, which doesn't sound too hard, but what we have to do is kill zombies. Again, doesn't sound too hard. Those zombies will then drop key cards, and we have to walk over them to pick them up. Now, what makes this so difficult is the zombies don't have a guaranteed drop. I think they have like a certain percent chance to drop a key card, which is stupid because we had to endure 7 rounds of zombies, which on this game, that is like 50 rounds. It is actually crazy how hard this game gets. But finally, on round 21, we were able to get both of our levels to 49, and my friend might have had like 10 plus downs by this point, but it's okay because I never died. I still love you, Michael. So now after doing all of that, we only have a couple more steps to do. We now have to get our access level from 49 to 50, which is extremely easy. We both have to interact with fingerprint scanners around the map. There's 4 for each playable character, but we only have to do 2. So once we do that, we go back to the terminal, interact with it, and it's going to say a quote along the line of, if you hear this message, you only have 24 hours to get to somewhere. I don't exactly know what it says, but it's something similar to that. So once we hear that message, we go back to the exosuits. Both interact with a corner of the exosuits, which sounds very stupid, but eventually we will start hearing a helicopter flying on the map. So we each go to spawn, and we can see the helicopter there, but of course, this is exo-zombies we're talking about. So the helicopter gets shot down, and that's the Easter egg completed. And now there is a second ending where you do leave the map itself, but that involves us having to endure more pain, and it's actually even more difficult, so I don't even want to attempt it. So that is Outbreak done. We can now move on to the second map, which is Infection. Infection is a strange case among most zombies maps because people remember it as Burger Town, which isn't even the name of the map. It's an area inside of it. I don't know why they couldn't have just named it that, but it's whatever. It's Sledgehammer. They're not known for making the best zombies games. But while I was doing this, I was thinking in my head, okay, Outbreak was difficult. This can't be as bad as Outbreak. Yeah. I was 100% incorrect. This map almost made me quit this entire video, but it felt more like you had to be really lucky rather than be skillful. And at the end of round 1, I did get a double points, so I knew this was going to be the run I was going to do it. But in the middle of round 2, I ended up getting a nuke by mailing a zombie, which is a little unfortunate because I could have got more points, but still I had enough points to be able to grab my exosuit at the start of round 3, and going back into spawn, I can now jump up in the air, grab this golden frying pan. I know what you're thinking. What is that going to be used for? Making a burger. You know it. After grabbing the frying pan, there's 4 different valves in the area where the exosuit was. And the valves look like this. There's over 30 different locations you have to look for, which is absurd. But luckily, I was able to find all 4 of mine in the area I already had open, so I didn't have to waste any more points. And once you do interact with them, they start releasing gas, and that's kind of how you know that you don't have to interact with them anymore. But after turning all of them on, there is a secret room that opens up, and this is where the Easter egg already starts to become terrible. So in the middle here, I had to place the golden frying pan, and in the area that is in the lower part, there's like the upper level, and then you drop down into where the golden frying pan lays. You have to kill zombies in there. It doesn't sound bad, but when you have to kill about 3 rounds of zombies, it is pretty shitty, and this is why I had to get my exosuit really early, because it melee hits until round 5, which is good. And at the end of round 6, or I think in the middle of round 6 actually, I was able to fill up the golden frying pan, and I was able to pick it back up. And now going to the Burger Town section of the map, which is arguably the best area of this map because there's actually space to move around, I have to place the golden frying pan on a stove because that's usually how you cook things. Put a frying pan on a stove and you got food. Now obviously you can't make food without the ingredients, so we had to gather 4 different pieces of meat around the map, 1 in each area. So I had to look for 1 in Burger Town. It was really easy to find because it's actually in the building itself. Then I had to look for 1 in Atlas Command, which was kind of tricky because it was on top of like this container right here. I'm not really sure what this would be. Then I had to look for 1 in Value Voltage, which I'm going to be honest, I don't even remember where that was. I can't remember off of memory at all. But before grabbing the 4th one, I decided to hit the 3D printer in hopes I would get the Wonder Weapon. And lo and behold, I got the Wonder Weapon, which is fantastic. Now, the last piece of meat I had to grab was in the sewers, and I was watching a tutorial while doing this, and unfortunately, it was one of the last locations to check, but it was just right next to the TAC-19, which was actually really obvious, but I don't know how I didn't see it at first. But after putting all 4 pieces of meat on the frying pan, all I had to do was shoot the Magnetron at it, which is the Wonder Weapon, until it made this sound. And now we need to get the bun for the burger, because that's how you make a burger. You need the bun and the meat. You obviously need some cheese in there too somewhere, but there's no cheese on this map, sadly. In order to get the bun, it's kind of dumb, I'm going to be honest. You have to find a Burger Town worker zombie. They're kind of frequently spawning in throughout the map. There's not a whole lot of them. It's maybe like a couple around. And all you have to do is kill these guys. And then eventually they will drop a bun. Now, what makes this stupid is it's not a guaranteed chance. I remember my attempt, I think before this, I was all the way up until around 20 killing those guys. And I still did not get a bun. But fortunately, I was able to get a bun on round 9 on this attempt, which was perfect. And once I placed the bun on the meat, I now could pick up the burger, and it does infect me, which is stupid. So I have to quickly go to the disinfect pad, and once I disinfect myself, I finally have to bring the burger back to Burger Town and give it to the mascot. And that is the entire burger section of this entire map finished. That is actually half of the Easter egg. Yes, we're only halfway there. It sucks. Now, going back to the Atlas command section of the map, there is now a computer screen with the mascot on it I have to interact with. Once I do that, I have to quickly run to a panel that is on the wall in another building in the area, and I unfortunately was not fast enough to get a battery, so I had to do it a second time, and I had just enough time to be able to pick up the battery. It was actually like milliseconds, I think. But once I picked up the battery, I head over to the other side of the map, which is value voltage, put the battery inside of this what I thought was a pump. I'm not actually sure what it is. It actually might be a pump, like a gas pump or something. I'm not really sure, but when I put the battery in, it starts charging. Now, what's terrible about this is the zombies start attacking it, but it's not too big of a deal because the developer that made this section of the Easter egg was very kind. When the zombies attack it, it falls out onto the floor. All you have to do is pick it up and put it back in, and it continues its charge. Now, while doing this, I ended the round and I got a toxic zone. What this is it takes one area of the map and completely shuts it off. You can still go in there, but you'll be infected and slowly lose health. And just my luck, the area that ended up being toxic was value voltage, which was the area I needed to be in. But it's not too big of a deal. All I had to do was end the round, and on the next round, when it disabled, I was able to pick up the battery. And by this point, there was still one thing I have not mentioned yet that makes this map almost unplayable. That is survivor rounds. Now, what these are is there is random events that happen throughout the map at random times where a survivor needs to be rescued. Now, you are able to ignore the survivor and let him die, but the trade-off to that is once he dies, the power of the entire map, everything that includes power, will be turned off for about 2 to 3 minutes, which is terrible. It's not that bad, but sometimes it can halt the Easter egg that you're doing. And when the power surge is off and it's done finally doing its thing, you have to turn everything back on around the map. And I haven't mentioned yet, but in each individual area where every perk is, there's always a power generator you have to turn on. This is the same for every single map, but I didn't think it was worthy enough to really be mentioned. But I guess this map really does need it because it's that bad. Now, after dealing with the survivor and the power turning off, I brought the battery back that was charged to the mascot and gave it to him. Now, he will eventually get me a key. It was kind of stressful grabbing this because there was a lot of zombies chasing me, but once I was able to grab the key, we can now go into the big burger next to the Burger Town building. Very interesting feature. I really do like this. Now, once I go in there, I have to interact with the screen, and then it eventually says access denied because I'm just not good enough, apparently. And then this is where the Easter egg gets very terrible. I thought before it was bad building a burger, getting all that RNG to be in my favor, but no, this part was the worst by far. So this is not terrible on paper. In the sewer, there is an alligator trap. It's called the instigator trap. Now, what this does is releases an alligator into the sewer water, and when there's zombies inside of the water, it'll come out of the water and just, bring them down into the water and kill them. What makes this hard is you have to kill the alligator in those few seconds that it comes up and eats a zombie, and unfortunately, just my luck, I had the wrong weapons for this. I had a weapon that could not kill it fast enough, so I had to go ahead and buy the TAC-19, which was a shotgun, and it was going to do enough damage as long as I got it upgraded enough. So by round 23, I had it Pack-a-Punch 14, which might be a little bit overkill, but I was finally able to kill the alligator around 23 and get the zombie hand that drops after doing that. Now, I have to bring the zombie hand back to spawn. There is now a fingerprint scanner. I have to use the hand on. It'll open a safe. I grab the tablet in there. I bring the tablet back into the burger, give it to the screen, and once I exit the burger, there's going to be a bunch of burger bombs just shooting out of it, and eventually they will explode. But then eventually eventually there is a countdown sequence on your screen that will launch a rocket. None of this really does anything. It's just kind of like an effect for completing the Easter egg, if you will. Now, after the rocket goes off, all the burger bombs are exploded. I have to go back into the burger itself, grab the tablet once again, and finally give it to the mascot. And that, my friends, is the infected Easter egg completed. I will have to say that this is one of the worst Easter eggs I have ever completed by far. Not even that it was hard, not even that the RNG was terrible sometimes. It is just stupid. I don't know how any of this has to do with an Easter egg. It just feels like some stupid side quest put together and mashed up. Like, here's an Easter egg. Didn't even feel accomplishing at all. It more felt like, oh, I can move on to the next map? Let's do that. So we're going to move on to Carrier right now, which is the third map on this game. I know this might be a bit of a hot take, but I really do believe Carrier is the second best map on this game. The Easter egg is challenging. It has some fun, goofy steps. But because it's on Advanced Warfare, it's still a huge pain in the ass. Now, do keep in mind, for this Easter egg, there's going to be a lot of information thrown at you. So just be warned about that. So first spawning into the map, I actually must leave the spawn room right away, because in the next room, which I'm going to call the Plinko room, it'll make sense in a second, I have to buy teleport grenades, and then I also hit the 3D printer to hopefully get a good weapon. And I got a good weapon, but for the wrong reason. I got one that one-shot the zombies for a pretty long time, but I wanted a point weapon. But it's okay, we work with what we got. Now, skipping 2 more rounds, I can now get my exosuit and do the first step of the Easter egg. In that same room with the exosuits, there's also a trap I have to activate. Once the machine leaves the little area that it's in, that little box or whatever, I have to shoot a teleport grenade in that room, and then in that room there's also a generator that I have to turn on, and that will enable me to do the Plinko step, which is why I'm referring to that room as the Plinko room. Now, this is going to be extremely hard to explain, but before doing the Plinko game, I had to quickly grab contact grenades in that same room with the teleport grenades, and now in that room there's also a Plinko board, and at the top you will see that there is a hole that keeps going back and forth, and I have to shoot a teleport grenade in there, and now there is going to be alternating grenades at the top left of the machine, or the Plinko board, whatever you want to call it. Now, there is 3 levels to this board here. The first level is distraction zone and then frag. The second level is explosive zone, distraction zone, explosive zone, and then frag. And the third level is explosive zone, nano swarm, explosive zone, distraction zone, explosive zone, and then frag. Now, this sounds very confusing, but I'll just show on screen what I have to do instead of explaining it in detail. So with the first level, I must shoot a contact grenade in the hole when there's a distraction zone and then a frag grenade in that order. Once I do that, that is the first level of the Plinko board finished. Now, the second level, I have to do a similar thing. This time when there's an explosive zone, distraction zone, an explosive zone, and then a frag grenade, I have to shoot a contact grenade in the hole in that order. Same thing with level 3, except this time it's explosive zone, nano swarm, explosive zone, distraction zone, explosive zone, and then frag, and that is the Plinko board done. Once that is finished, there is a tablet at the bottom right of the game that I have to pick up. Once I have that tablet, I bring it to a vault in the second spawn room of this map. Once I give the vault the tablet, that is 1 out of 4 done for this Easter egg. Now, going back to the Plinko room, there is a weapon disposal machine. It's more like a zombie that takes your weapons, because when you get close to it, the zombie arm basically reaches out and has you give it a weapon pretty much. Now, giving this weapon disposal 2 different weapons, it could be anything from the 3D printer. It will then give you a bottle in return. I do want to warn anyone that has really bad motion sickness to just skip to this timestamp on screen, because this step was terrible for me because I have really bad motion sickness and I almost threw up after doing this Easter egg step. But once I use the bottle, my character becomes drunk, which is already terrible. I don't know why this is even a step. But while I'm doing this, I have to hit a panel, and now I have to dodge lasers while being drunk, which is terrible. Now, the first section of the lasers is the worst. I have to jump in the air and land in these areas where there is not lasers. Now, after failing this 4 different times, I was able to succeed on my 5th try, and that's the hardest part about this entire laser step, because after that, you basically just have to walk around and dodge the lasers. And eventually, when I got into spawn, the second tablet was there waiting for me, and once I used the teleporter, I was no longer drunk, which was good, and then I brought that tablet back to the vault, and that's 2 out of 4 completed. Now moving on to the next two steps of the Easter egg, I actually do them at the same time because they go together. Now the first step I do is build a fishing rod. Now similar to how I got a bottle from the weapon disposal, I'm getting fishing pole parts from it. So after giving it about 3 different weapons, it'll give me the first part. I can't remember what order it gives them to me, but once I get the first part, I give it to the fishing rod that is kind of just sitting on a railing on the opposite side of the vault. And once I give the weapon disposal about 3 more, it'll give me another part. I put that also on the rod and do that one more time to get the last part and put that on the fishing pole. And now we can fish for 100 points. Except I'm not doing that yet because it doesn't make sense to do so. Now the next step that goes with the fishing pole is repairing a teleporter. Now this isn't hard to do, but it just depends on your RNG. So if I haven't shown yet in this map, there is teleporter zombies. They're kind of hard to see sometimes because of the amount of zombies that are chasing you at times. They look very similar to the EMP zombies. But when I find these guys, I have to kill them, and eventually they will drop teleporter fragments. I will freeze frame right here just to show what they actually look like because they're extremely hard to see. But once I get a teleporter fragment, I have to bring it to a teleporter that is broken. And once I have the fragment and I interact with the teleporter, it will start flashing blue for a second and then it'll go back to red. Now I have to get about 30 different fragments, which is terrible. That'll take about like 10 rounds of zombies because only a couple of teleporter zombies spawn in at a time. So finally by round 24, I was able to get the teleporter back on. And on that same round, I was able to start fishing. And what I am looking for is a shovel. I think on the start of round 25, I was able to finally get the shovel, which was terrible RNG. But now I can use the teleporter that will bring me to an island. And you could probably guess that you have to use the shovel to dig around the island. Now this is all RNG dependent, whether or not you'll find the item. But I got extremely lucky and found it almost instantly on like my 5th dig or so. And once you find a box that you dig up, the 3rd tablet will be in there that I needed to finish the Easter egg. And once I have that tablet, I once again bring it back to the vault, and there's only one more tablet I have to get. And tragically, the last tablet is the hardest to get. Now what I have to do to get this one is go back into spawn and interact with a locker that has Captain DJ on it, and that will enable the worst step in this Easter egg by far. So interacting with it, there will eventually be 2 small UFOs that spawn in on the map. This is completely random. They can spawn in on next round or the next 10 rounds. It all depends on your luck. But on round 27, I accidentally found the UFOs. They usually spawn right next to each other. There's 2, and there's one that has a power-up and one that does not have a power-up. And you have to destroy the one that does not have a power-up in it because it will drop a lever. But unfortunately, I did not have the weapons to destroy the one that does not have a power-up in it, which was extremely unfortunate. But finally, skipping 3 more rounds, I found them once again on accident, and this time I had the right weapons to destroy it. And once I destroyed it, I picked up the lever. And then I brought this lever to the moon pool area of the map for the next step and attached it to this trap that I will eventually activate. Now using the fishing pole one last time, I have to wait until I get a small fish, which took me a little while to get, but eventually I was able to get the fish. And now going back to the moon pool area, I have to get zombie kills on the square panels that are in this room. There is 3 in total, and you will see me use a distraction drone on top of one. And I only have to kill about 5 zombies that are on top of one of the panels. Once I kill them, their blood will drain into the water, and then eventually there will be a shark that gets attracted to that. Now activating the trap where I place the lever, that will drop a cage down below. And I have to get in that cage, and now I'm in the water with the shark. And this is where my RNG becomes even worse than it already was. So there will be a shark that attacks the cage, because, you know, that's how that works. And when it attacks the cage, I have to grab its eyeball. Now, the terrible thing about this is when you're in the water, your camera moves extremely slowly. Like, I'm talking turtle pace. And I don't think the devs had in mind of people playing keyboard and mouse on this game, so it was nearly impossible for me to turn my camera around fast enough because you are very limited on time on this. So after doing this over and over and over and almost dying multiple times in my game ending, I got very good RNG. I went in the cage and the shark attacked right in front of me. I grabbed its eyeball. That was finally over. I brought its eyeball back to the Captain DJ locker. It would then open, and I can grab the last tablet of this map and bring it to the vault. Now all I have to do for the very last step is give the weapon disposal a couple more weapons. I think it's like 3 in total. Eventually it will give me a C4. I then bring that C4 to the vault. I use it on it, and that is the Easter egg finally completed on Carrier. Now, my final thoughts about this map is if there were steps that didn't take nearly 10 rounds to do, then I think this Easter egg would be a great experience. But of course, this is Advanced Warfare, so you can't have everything nice in the world. But now we can move on to the last map, which is the best map that has the best Easter egg on this game, so I will see you guys on Descent. Honestly, by this point in my playthrough of this game, I really just wanted to get it over with and never touch this game again. However, after playing Descent, it really just made me want to keep playing because how fun the Easter egg was. It didn't feel like a pointless side quest like the other Easter eggs were. It actually had progression, felt like it was really fun, and it felt like it had meaning to it. And if you don't know, this map is actually underwater, or like 90% of it is. There's like 10% above water, but it's a very aesthetically pleasing map. I'm sure most of you are going to enjoy it. And when you do spawn in, the first thing I do is leave the spawn. Would you believe that? And when you do leave the spawn, you actually drop down into the lower part of the map, which is underwater. I at first thought you were going to die from fall damage, but turns out the game is not that bad. But when I do drop down, I end up buying the MP11 right away because it is very helpful for the first step of the Easter egg. And on that same round, I did get my exosuit, which is very, very good because having that as early as possible is a lifesaver. And now going to the far side of the map, which is the complete opposite side of the spawn room, I am now in the, I think, tidal generator room, if that's what it's called. There's now 3 valves I must shoot. They look exactly the same as the ones in Infection, if you remember those. I have to now shoot those with the MP11 and my starting pistol. Doesn't really matter which one I use. I kind of use both. And once they have a blue light appear at the top of them when I shoot them enough, that's how I know it's finished. Then I have to do that to 2 more. Very simple, not hard at all. And once all 3 of them are lit up, there's now a secret room that opens up. And in that room, there is a terminal I have to interact with twice. And once I hear both quotes, I know that I'm finished with that part of the Easter egg. Now, once again, I have to go to the opposite side of where I am, the complete opposite side of the map. And now, I think it was in the lounge area of the map. I'm trying to remember the names off the top of my head. There is a door. And this door, you have to depressurize it. When you interact with it, it will show this prompt on screen. And yes, it really is that slow. That is not even editing or anything. That is literally just how slow this depressurization is. Now, it's not hard to do this. It just takes a little bit of time. So I was able to finish it on that exact same round. After finishing it, I now had to wait for a Goliath suit to drop from the sky. Similar to how, like, there's turrets that drop from the sky. There's sometimes points. If you don't know that, well, you know now that there is. And while I was waiting for that Goliath suit to drop, I decided to test my luck at the 3D printer. And, well, that was not the best call. I ended up getting some very, and I mean very bad options to choose from. However, I did get the ASM1, which was good enough to help me through the entire Easter egg, so I'm thankful for that. But now on round 10, there was finally a Goliath suit that I could use. And this thing is crazy. It has rockets and machine gun. You can melee with it. It's just the best thing, man. It keeps you alive. That's what you want in zombies. But using this Goliath suit, I head over to the depressurized door from earlier, and now I can go under the water. This is the only time you go under the water in an underwater map. But when I go outside, I have to follow the path. And eventually there's a zombie I have to melee, not too hard. And if I keep walking, there is now a light I have to switch to another color. I can't remember what the colors are, but once I hit that, it'll change to another color and I just go back inside of the building. And that part is done. Now from here on out, there's actually challenges I must complete pretty much every other step. Like you do a challenge, and then after that, there's like another Easter egg step you gotta do. Then after that step, there's another challenge you have to do on the next round. And the first challenge I must do is destroy 5 UFOs around the map. They are the same UFOs that you have to destroy on Carrier. You're able to get the lever from earlier. And this is why it was very important that I had the right weapons for this. Because if I don't have good enough weapons, they will not be destroyed. Luckily, the ASM1 was good enough to get all of them destroyed. I was very fortunate that I did not fail this, because if I did, then it would just be a nightmare to deal with this. And after that step, it is now the most annoying, the longest, and just the most tedious step. Like, there's no competition here. It is just the worst. So near where you get the exosuits, there's turnstiles. I think that's what they're called. And near those, I'm gonna call these canisters. I don't know what these are, but they're inside of the wall, and they need electricity to charge. They go from 0 to 100. And in order for these things to charge, I need an EMZ zombie, which are the ones that disable your exosuit, to hit me while I'm near that, and that'll kill it and charge the canisters. I would assume like 10% or so. I'm not really sure. But while I was trying to do this, round 20 came along, and if you don't know, this is when the boss fight happens every single time. No matter how many games you play, it's always around 20 when the boss fight happens. Now, originally I didn't plan on even mentioning this because the boss fight has nothing to do with the actual Easter egg, as far as I know anyway. But all you gotta know is that it's extremely easy. It's not really worth my time even explaining it because it's not really much of a boss fight. It's more just like you run around and shoot shit, and well, that's it. And so after spending 7 rounds trying to fill up the canisters, I was finally done with that step, and I could move on with the rest of the Easter egg. Now, going on to the next round, this will start another challenge. And this one is extremely fun and easy because all I have to do is use grenades for the entire round. I literally can't use any ammo, but I do have infinite grenades, which is very nice. It might sound bad, but the grenades in this game are extremely powerful. Even on like, well, I think it was round 23, somewhere around that area, the contact grenades like 2-shot the zombies. So it was extremely easy to complete this challenge. And after this step, there was one of the most like obvious steps you could think of to put in a jetpack game, which is a parkour step. And this is the only map that does it. I'm glad it is because it made this map just that much more fun and much more enjoyable. Now in the spawn room, there's these like blue and I think white pads, blue and black actually, I think. And it's just parkour. It's just kind of seeing if you learned the movement, and they are actually quite challenging. Some of them are, and you have to like be almost perfect about the jumps, the boost movement, all that stuff. It really wasn't that hard. I was able to get it done on the next round because there's about like 8 different puzzle pads you have to complete, and the zombie ended up dying, and I kind of failed a few times, but I ended up getting it done, so that was good enough. And now we're on to the next challenge, which is the Don't Move challenge. It might sound intimidating at first because, well, if you can't move an exo zombies, you're gonna die. What happens, instead of you not being able to move, it's more like if you move, you lose points. And I would assume if you go down to 0 points, you just fail the challenge, I guess. This is extremely easy as well, because earlier I had grabbed a Sentinel reinforcement pod, which spawns in like, I think 4, we'll say it's teammates, if that's how you want to say it. And it makes life just that much easier. And it was on an infected round, so there's not even that many zombies. And it really was not too big of a deal. And after that challenge, we once again have another easy step, which is Simon Says. And this is right below the spawn area. And it's just these 4 computer terminals that will flash a certain color in a certain order, whatever you want to say. And would you guess it? That this Simon Says is also very, very easy. There's no challenge to it. Even I completed it. And now on the next round, we have one more challenge, and there's only 2 more left. And this one is the Friendly Fire Challenge. It might not make any sense as to how this works on solo. And honestly, I don't know why they made it this way on solo. So what happens is there is 3 other AIs that spawn in alongside you in the rounds. But they're not friendly. They go after you. They shoot you. They try and kill you and all that. Damn! Now, from what I heard on tutorials, you have to at least keep one of these guys alive in order to pass the round, which really is not difficult at all because it feels like these guys either have a lot of health or the zombies just don't go after them. So this challenge was no big deal at all. But what was a big deal is the next step of the Easter egg, which is the most frustrating out of all of them. Might not be the most difficult, but I did not like doing it. So in the secret room, there is 2 sets of 4 numbers. You have the top numbers and the bottom numbers. You have to match the bottom numbers with the top ones. And the way how to do that is like this. So the first number is the amount of boosts slams. The second number is jumping. That's very easy. The third one is buying grenades. Also very easy. And the fourth one is zombies killed. Also very easy. They're all easy to do, but actually matching them up is another problem. So it only took me about 3 rounds to be able to complete that, and that part was done. And now we can move on to the last challenge, which is without a doubt the most fun and the easiest. And for this one, all you gotta do is simply complete an entire round using the Mayhem rocket launcher, and it's Pack-a-Punch 25. So it's basically just like a free round. Can almost accidentally kill yourself, so don't do that. It's just very fun and easy. It's a nice like breathing round. You're good. And once I got that challenge completed, there was only one more thing to do, which I had to go into the secret room once more, interact with the terminal, and now interact with what looks like a perk, but it's actually entering Oz's memories. Now the terrible thing about this is I did not have any ammo. I had a little bit in my ASM-1, but I had 0 bullets pretty much. And when you're in Oz's memories, it basically spawns you in the spawn room of Outbreak, and you have to kill zombies until this is over. You can't really kill zombies if you have no ammo, but luckily the game spawns in 3 different allies to replace you having no teammates, which is very nice. Luckily, they made these teammates, or these AI rather, invincible, so they just can't die. So I had to just kind of hop around, let them take care of the zombies, and that was that. And after about 7 to 8 minutes, the Easter egg ended. And that was every Easter egg on Advanced Warfare. That was a Descent Easter egg. That was the rest of the maps. Now we're finally done with all the Easter eggs. It's great. Now I want to say my final thoughts in this game before ending the video. Like, on one hand, I really did enjoy some of the Easter egg steps. Mostly Descent was kind of the only Easter egg I enjoyed. But Carrier had some fun ones in there. Infection... no. And Outbreak was just fun because I had a friend doing it with. You know, for some of the parts that, you know, actually had meaning to it, it was a good game. But some of the parts that just felt like it was impossible to do one solo, I don't know why they even passed that as Easter egg steps. Like, it was just so unbearable. But that was every Easter egg on Advanced Warfare. If you want to see me do this on World War II, let me know. But I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and peace out, everyone. I love you all.